Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everyone, to the Life Choices podcast. Today, I'm welcoming Kozmo to the stage. How you doing?
I'm doing very good right now.
Awesome.
Right now, I'm doing very good.
Today's a good day.
Today is a good day.
That's good. That's good. Just let our audience know real briefly here, 30 seconds, a minute, a little bit about yourself, where you're at in life, maybe where you were in life.
Where I'm at in life and where I was at life are two very different things, yet they were still destined for the same area. I'm a creative. I'm a man. And I don't speak of that lightly. I have a lot of experience in the entertainment industry, all kinds of facets of that, through production, DJing, choreography, music, and then I grew up playing sports as an athlete, and so those are kind of my vehicles to be able to communicate and reach people in where I'm at now.
And briefly off screen, we had talked. You are also starting a podcast.
It's called Start the Convo Project.
Start the Convo
Yep.
Project, and is that already out on YouTube or on audio?
The way to know though,
Yes.
if it's up, is to follow me on Instagram.
There you go.
Would be Kozmo.Koz, Kozmo .Koz.
Perfect. And that will be just down below here for everyone as well, if you want to tap on it. Right here. The name of your show is brilliant. I love that. Start the Convo Project.
Just start talking.
Clearly that's what we do here. A lot of people might not understand what exactly my vision is, and we talked about this off screen. No one's going to know your vision because it's your vision. But my whole thing was there's a lot going on inside of my head that I believe a lot of people go through on a regular basis. And we didn't have this outlet when we were growing up as kids. And I can only imagine how much better I would have been in a mental state. My mental strength would have been better at a younger age if I did have all of these possible podcasts to watch and listen to and hear people talk about things that I feel like I'm going through. So starting the convo, that's brilliant. Doing podcasts, I think, from the nature that we're wanting to do it, is a huge good thing that more people should do. And I love when people come on the show and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a podcast, or people reach out to me and they're like, so how did you get started? What is it that you're doing? And are you using this or using that? And for me, that's probably one of the biggest compliments, because it means that even though currently we have, in August, we have almost 300 subscribers. Those are people that have literally taken the time to hit the subscribe button. And I love that, because people that I know are reaching... Hit subscribe
on Life Choices on YouTube right now.
Right here down below. It's right here.
Just do it. Just hit subscribe.
Zero effort, just boom.
Help Birdman out.
There it is. But the great thing is these people are reaching out to me to find out how I got started, which means they're clearly watching it, and at some level they're enjoying it. And I don't care what you do, whatever theme that you're going to use your podcast for, you're still helping people because you're giving them information on a said topic. We need to, as men, open that door on a regular basis and talk about the things that get us going, whether they're good or bad. We just have to share that information with people so that the next generation that comes up, they just have a better chance at succeeding at life and in their business ventures.
It's our responsibility.
Agreed.
It's our responsibility as men to do that, especially if we have the knowledge and the wisdom, and we choose not to share that. That's a very weird concept to me. It's like why don't you want to share that to help other people on their journey? Because you were helped on your journey from others, and whether it was men or women, they shared what they've learned, what they didn't learn with you to get you to where you're at. Why would you not want to continue that on? And so when people don't do that or want to do that, it's a very weird concept to me.
Well, those are the people that I tend to gravitate away from over time. We were talking about that earlier as well. You know, the people in your life that are closest to you, unfortunately, won't support what you got going on until there's a large amount of support already there. And you will find out who's willing to help you out and who's not. We are trying to help others. That's one of the reasons why we do what we're doing, because we see the importance in sharing our story and our journey with people, or even just stirring up a conversation on a topic that's out there that might be relayed incorrectly to a mass of people. And by sharing that info, we hopefully will help others. The people that helped me in my life growing up, I didn't know it at the time. Obviously, my parents. I was very fortunate. I had a mom and a dad in the house, you know, regularly. My dad worked 7 days a week, but he showed up to sports events and stuff like that. And I saw what a disciplined man meant. A little different than nowadays. People don't want to seem to put in the work as much as they used to.
Well, they don't need to.
Why not?
We have everything.
Yeah.
That's why everything is so convenient and comfort based, that why would we put in the work when we can just do this or do that or pay someone? That's what. And we were talking about the 1% of the 1%, and why is it so hard to get there? Well, they don't want you to get there. They put all these distractions in the way to keep us down, so we don't do the work.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's a lot of it is subliminal that we don't even, well, I'm sure some do realize and most don't realize.
No, most of us don't realize. Like it really takes you having to, like, you said you travel. I'm looking at, you know, where I'm positioned right now. He's got a map on his wall. He's got pins, the whole map of the globe, right? And he's got all these pins on where he's traveled. So I'm like looking at it. But it takes getting outside of what we know and going to different places and experiencing different cultures that, like, oh shit, it's not just all about what we have here in America or what we have here in Palm Beach, or, you know, wherever our little comfort zone is. There's so much more and so much more perspective out there than just this way of life. And if we just think on this way of life, we are building ourselves in a box that is a very dangerous place to be for not only ourselves, but for others. And so we don't do the work because a lot of us don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
That's where we're fortunate. I'm assuming you've traveled a fair bit as well.
Yeah, but I'm envious of all those dots.
There are. I think there's there's got to be over 50 dots up there for sure. The education that I learned, the education that I received while traveling, opened up my mind, and I didn't do most of that traveling until I was in my 30s. And seeing the world as it is and seeing people with less and happier really changed my life.
That's it.
And we are definitely in North America a very convenience/consumer driven society, where we're told through social media, TV, movies, you got to look a certain way, wear certain clothes, buy certain cars. If you want to be accepted by everyone else, this is what you have to do. This is the stature you need. You know, I was in Ecuador and I gave a tip that I guess was excessive, but again, it was like nothing to me. It was like 50 cents or something. But to them, like, the woman came around the counter and hugged me and said, thank you. It was so gracious for that. Where, like, here in North America, if you don't tip your server 15 or 20%, they'll give you attitude because of it. And it's like,
scum.
whoa, like, whoa, like the price on the menu is for the food. The tip is a gratuity. It's extra. If you've done your, like, if you come to the table and, like,
those are fighting words. You talk to the right people,
100% they are.
That's a weird, you're saying the right thing. Like, it's so weird. Like, people get so up in arms that they don't realize they're getting tipped on their service, and if they have an issue with that, they should take it up with the owner of the establishment that is not paying them, that's choosing to pay them, like, whatever the low hourly rate is, while especially if they're serving alcohol. If you're marking up alcohol by however many hundreds of percent,
yeah, something like that,
and then you're paying your servers whatever, and it's on us as the customer to then pay them what they're worth. they're talking to the wrong people.
Yeah, and I know what I'm saying could possibly ruffle some feathers, and that's fine with me because I don't give a fuck. Like, celebrate zero fucks giving, and I think you'll go further in life because there's nothing wrong with speaking truth. Like, I work in an industry where I work for the 1%, right? So if I work on a yacht that's private, it's different. You get your monthly salary and that's it. But if you work on a charter boat, every now and again you get a family or some people that rent the boat for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it might be, and you're still getting paid your monthly salary from your boss, which is the owner, the person who owns the vessel. And then if you do a really good job over those 7 days, week, whatever it is, you may get a tip as well. And in the industry, they say between 10 and 20%. Now, remember, that's a large amount of money. I work on vessels that usually have 9 or 10 crew. The boat costs $250,000 a week to rent. 10%, 15%, you're looking at anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 per crew member. Let's just call it 10 crew. Let's say you're getting a $3,000 tip. That's 10 crew. That's $30,000, right? I'm not a mathematician, but 3 times 10. $30,000, right, to be given to 10, like $30 extra thousand out of a pocket. Like, first off, how dare you get pissed off if that's what you get? Secondly, it's not guaranteed. So don't just think you can just do the run of the mill work and you're going to get that. Like, every aspect of that boat has to knock it out of the park. 6-star fucking Disneyland type shit, you know, and then you might get that tip. But if you don't, you still earned your monthly salary. So it's wrong to think it's just welcome. And like I said, to go back to the point was, you go to other countries and you will see people with less income, more family time, and more happiness than what we grow up with.
So if you go to other places in the world, you see more of that togetherness, that community, like actual community, not like community we see in West Palm Beach where it's like a status thing. Like, I got to go wear Lululemon and go do community stuff. No, like actual real community where people give a shit about each other and are doing things together, and family, that family stuff. It's more prominent when there's less wealth, and rightfully so, I think, because probably because it's needed, because you don't have that. But that's something that I realized.
It's a valid point. I've traveled quite a lot through Europe, and something that they do over there in a lot of countries that we don't do here, which is they take that midday siesta, you know, like 1-2 o'clock in Spain, everything shuts down. I mean, everything shuts down. It's just closed. And you see the parks, like, I say park, I don't mean like a big grassy area. I mean like a small little park that has a few benches and maybe a little jungle gym or what have you. And at that time, you see all the families, like, they come with the children and they have like their play dates and whatnot, and the parents are there with other people, and you see that family oriented feeling. It is a fact we are driven differently here because of what we are exposed to and what we're told we're supposed to go after, which means, hey, it's okay if you sacrifice the family in order to get the money. There should be a kind of happier area in there. Like, when I grew up, my father, every Sunday, we would actually get in the car as a family, and we would not just go and visit those relatives that were like 30, 45 minutes away. We would go visit the dead. We would always go to the different graveyards that my mom and my dad's family who had passed on were in. We would walk around. Jewish faith, we'd always find a stone and put it on the tombstone as a respect. And then we would go to like his brother's place, his sister's place. At the time, if my uncle was living in Canada, because he moved and like lived in England for a while, like, we would always make that effort as a family to spend time together, which I feel has been lost over the years because of what we're being told to go after.
How do you feel about death?
How do I feel about death?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I love this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue.
I'm just because you said about death, and I think it's a very, very taboo thing to talk about, and a lot of people I think we're scared of it, and it's just interesting. So I was just curious on.
But we'll get into it for sure. It's so funny that like you actually bring this up right now, because an ex-girlfriend of mine, actually, Lauren Zuro, shout out. Now this is going
What's up,
back.
Lauren?
This is going back to when I was like in my 20s. I came across a post that she just put up on Facebook, which is talking about death. It was a long thing that she had talked about her mother, kind of keeping it a secret that, you know, she was like dealing with whatever. And she decided that she's going to start having that conversation about death and how it's part of life. My father, when he died 5-6 years ago, you know, growing up with him, he had always said that death is part of life. It's not a big deal. You know, I lost both his parents died when I was young. One was I was 4, and the other one I was like 13. And he always said death is part of life. So when my dad died, you know, he called me up, told me he had stage 4 lung cancer and stage 4 tumorous brain cancer. Now, of course, you hear that and you're like, holy fuck. Now, he was saying it in a manner that I was like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to go and get chemo and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but in the back of your head, you're like, okay, you get that. You're okay. This is like, how much time do we got, basically?
Yeah.
So it wasn't as difficult for me when he passed because I was brought up in a household where I was told it's part of life. So we talked about it. It wasn't a big deal. I tell all my friends, you know, when I fly, you're trapped in a tin can, right? For however many hours you're flying. And I say, when I get into that situation, I'm completely relaxed. They're like, oh no, if we start getting turbulence, I'm horrible. I'm like,
You can't do shit.
zero effect.
You're
Like,
done.
you have nothing to do except for just sit there and just,
You know how many times I've died in a plane?
right?
In my mind when I'm on a plane.
But you can't get
There's
upset
nothing you
with
can
it.
do.
Nothing. So I when I get on the plane, I actually, in the back of my head, I literally say to myself, I say, you know what? Thank you very much. I've enjoyed my life. I've seen so much of the world. I've seen more of the world than most people ever will in their life. And I'm only 45 years old. I have 2 or 3 solid fucking friends.
45 is half of 90, bro.
Right? And I'm thinking
You're halfway to 90.
I'm halfway there. I'm thinking I'm halfway till I'm done. Right? I'm fine with it. But the topic of death is like, you have to be okay. Like, if you lived your life worrying about it, you would never leave your house. Cars, bicycles, walking.
Right.
In a second, bye. You know what I mean? But talking about death, I think, is very important. I welcome the conversation because, again, I'm going to try my best over the next 45 years to leave such an impression on this rock that people are going to understand the importance of helping others, going after what you want, and not giving a fuck about what people think about you while you're doing it.
I've accepted death to the point that I know that with what I'm doing and where I'm headed with my purpose, that I think that if I do a good enough job at it, I probably will be taken out, because what I'm geared to do is disrupt this whole fucking thing that's going on, and the big people aren't going to like it. Psychology is what we all need to learn. We need to learn psychology. If there's anything you could take from this episode right now, is to start learning psychology in the depths of that.
We've been so overstimulated over the past 10 or 15 years that we have become addicted to the fact of constantly doing something, which for me, I'm trying to add practices in my life to lessen the meaningless usage of my technology. Social media platforms is how I'm trying to earn a living now. So I have to be on them.
Don't try, just do it. That's Nike's motto. When you
Yeah.
try, you leave room for failure.
Fair enough. Well, I am doing it. I mean, it's what I do every single day right now. And what people need to do is you can have enough stimulation in your life if you keep yourself busy doing things that would actually better your life, rather than being brainwashed and consumed by having to constantly scroll and watch nonsense. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I've ventured away, like where I was 2 years ago to where I am now. I don't do scrolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just like going like this. I'm checking to make sure my social content that I posted is scheduled properly. I'm checking to make sure it goes up, because you just never know. Sometimes maybe you hit the wrong button. And I'm trying to step away from wasting precious minutes or hours on meaningless tasks. Even watching movies, I don't do anymore. You know, like on occasion, I'll sit down with my buddies, maybe 30 minutes before bed, and that'll be enough for me. It's the gym, the morning meditation, the walking my dog, the working on my different aspects of my company. That is how I stay stimulated. But when it's all done for the day, I sit there and I kind of do feel that kind of like urge almost, where you're like,
What's everyone else doing?
yeah, like, why am I just sitting here?
Yeah.
But if you fill your day up long enough,
Hit up some push-ups.
Well, that's the thing. When I'm at work on a boat, some of the crew will think I'm a bit silly, but I'll do push-ups and sit-ups in the galley. I'll just drop and they'll come by like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm just trying to keep busy. Makes sense to me.
It only needs to make sense to you. Fuck everybody else.
Exactly. And that's the zero fucks
If you have
giving.
enough confidence in making it sense, if it makes sense to yourself, then everyone else will eventually be like, oh, it makes sense to me too.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's a big point. I always say that, like, you can't give unsolicited advice to people, but what you can do is live by your actions. Mm-hmm. And if you're constantly doing this, eventually those who hang around with you the most will start doing something similar without you having to say, oh, why aren't you going to the gym? Or why aren't you doing something different?
Or you'll grow apart.
Yeah, which is fine too. I got no issues with that.
That's also a thing. That's what I've learned.
Well, I'm assuming we're relatively within the same realm of age, or at least
I'm 37.
Okay, I'm 40. We'll be 46 soon. So it's a
How
gap.
soon?
December.
December.
Yeah.
You're going to say the winter?
Yeah. I'm Canadian, so we have winter. Here we just have cooler months.
You have sweating,
Yeah.
more sweating, a little less sweating.
Yeah, and then there's that like 1 6 week period where you're just kind of comfortable. But what I was going to say there with the age thing is not necessarily we're the same age as a number, but we're at the same point in our life where we've come to the realization that friends are here for a season, or people are here for a season, and it's okay. I'm okay with that. People come into your life to bring negative or positive, but the more important thing, they're there to teach you something about yourself or about other humans. And even if the closest people eventually drift off, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It doesn't mean you love them less. It just means, like, you know what, your paths are going differently, and you as an individual have to focus on what's so important to you and what makes you happy. And if their lives and your lives are starting to go differently, it's okay. Like, the path you're on is not the same path they're on, and that's fine.
Right.
It's the person in the mirror at the end of the night that matters.
You have similarities that bring you together at that point in time of your life, and you both were in each other's lives for, because there's something that drew you there, and so long as that commonality is there, you stay there. But once and this happens in relationships a lot, if you're not growing together, you're growing. We have to keep on growing. If we don't evolve, we die.
Yeah.
If we're not growing, we die. We die either physically, or we die and in our growth, and then we just start doing dumb shit, and then eventually we'll end up dying.
It's the inner being and it's the physical being and the inner being. If you're not growing as an individual physically, if you're not growing as an individual mentally, there's going to be a disconnect, and you're just going to start going downward.
If you were to go back and tell and see your 18-year-old self, what is something you would tell them?
Work fucking hard right now for the next 10 years of your life, so the next 10 years could be less difficult for you.
Yeah.
But just fucking work. Stop worrying about what other people think or say about you. Do things that will help the whole, but for fuck's sakes, work your fucking ass off. Absorb every bit of knowledge you can from the individuals around you, and if there's nothing you can absorb from them that will help you further yourself in the future, go find a new group of people to be around, and keep doing that while you're working and becoming better at whatever fucking craft you're doing at that time, and change that craft many times if you have to.
What were you doing at 18?
At 18,
where were you working?
I was probably still working at a fast food joint.
Still in the food industry.
In the food industry. I mean, I've been in the food industry since I was 14, my entire life. I did a little bit of gymnastics coaching from 16 to 19. So I was doing kind of both of those at the same time.
Gymnastics coaching, that means you have a gymnastics background.
I have a coaching background, but when I was 15 and 16, when I was coach and training, I did a little bit of gymnastics. My middle brother, shout out to Steven.
What's up, Steven?
Is one of the most sought after gymnastics coaches in Canada. He's created many different gyms, programs and whatnot.
Oh, really?
He's a trampoline and coach, judge, gymnastics judge. He's very, very successful at it.
He does a trampoline. You know how there's the wall.
Walks it up. Oh yeah, we did that all the time.
That's
You
so
bounce
sick.
and jump up. Dude, I couldn't do it now, but back then I did. At 18, I was working in fast food. I just graduated high school. It was probably I was about to do my first 2.5 months of college, which I dropped out of before I even turned 19. And at that time, at 18, smoking a lot of weed, smoking a lot of cigarettes, just hanging out with my friends. I wasn't doing fuck all. I was not doing anything at that time to better myself, to tell you the truth. I was just being. Yeah, I was just being, without any knowledge, without any clue. I was very naive and had.
What do you attribute that to? Do you have you pinpointed anything like that naiveness or
my naivete back then? No, I had good guidance if I was willing to listen to it growing up, and not just from my parents, but from my surrounding adult figures. I grew up in a very close community of my parents' friends. There was like 4 or 5 couples that we would always hang out with their kids, and did like all the different events and functions and holidays together. And I probably had a handful of teachers that probably would have been willing to guide me. I just didn't care about anything back then. I had a horrible attitude towards school. I've always questioned the system my entire life. It just never made sense to me why I had to do this. I was like, why can't I just do what the fuck I want? If there are 18-year-olds out there, or those who are younger watching the show, it's important for me to give them this information that we're talking about, because if they are already, like, I have a nephew who is 16. And I was just home recently, and we're at the dining room table, whatever, having a conversation. And he's like, straight up, he's like questioning. He already knows the system's full of shit. And he's 16.
Well, and then there's that too, right? Because of social media. Think of how like, I know I've learned and I've advanced myself because of technology, because of the internet, because of that, right? And I didn't grow up with it. That came into existence as I was growing. But now you have kids and adults now that have had that at their fingertips throughout their whole life.
They don't know any different.
So the level of intellect is going to reach a higher level at an earlier level, because it's there.
It's being intellectual at a young age and having the ability to understand that it's just a point of view, and
keep an open mind.
But just like our media when we were growing up, not everything that's in print, or not everything that's on audio, not everything that's on the internet is going to be the absolute truth. And it's also not going to be the only way to look at something. There's a saying, 9 different ways to skin a cat. You got to be taught these things at a young age and be told, like, listen, you have to think for yourself, absorb the information, see both sides of the story, make your own opinion, but realize that you're reading information that's given to you from somebody else, just another human.
The game of telephone too.
Yeah. Well, I said this the other day to a friend of mine, or I might have said this to you earlier as well. This thing called life is nothing more than a game.
It is absolutely a game. Okay, so perfect. This is so good that you just said that, because I said about the psychology thing earlier, right? This is why we need to learn psychology, because life is a game. And I'm so competitive. I love competition. I love sports. I love that, right? And I play fair. The 2 things I don't cheat on in this life is a woman and competition sports, right? But don't fucking cheat on me if we're playing the same game, because I'm going to come for your head. And guess what's happening? We're being cheated on in this game of life.
Absolutely.
Because we're not given the same rules to play by.
We're not even given the same game board. Not even the rules. We're not even given the same playing field. Right.
We're all in the same game, but we don't have the same pieces or the same knowledge of that game. And I think that's fucked up, because there's real collateral damage in that, and people are really actually suffering and not understanding why. And that's why to me nothing else matters except for getting to that and sharing that.
But that's why you and I are in the position that we're in right now for our own personal lives. And we know good enough that we need to help others by giving them the same information, or at least having conversations like this, because it's like the board of Monopoly, right? In Monopoly, everyone's given the same amount of money. And then you play the game. The game that we're in, life, which is everyone playing the same game, we're not all given the same situation. People are full of shit, and people are trying to take one on over you. And knowing that it's not right is why we are now in a situation where we're wanting to talk about it loudly, not even quietly. When I get,
say with your chest,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
When I get 100,000 subscribers on here that are watching and listening to my guest and myself speak about topics of importance, is when, like you said, they're going to come after you because you got too much light on you. But this game of life, no one gets out of it. No one gets out of it alive. When you win, you're done. That's basically what it is. But the way I look at it is when you're done playing the game, did you have more happy days than sad days? I'm hoping for the happy. Did you do something that will leave this planet better than when you came into it? And I think that's where we're at right now, both separately in our own journeys, is we're trying to leave an impression for everybody out there, and even those who aren't even born yet, to be able to look at what we did and said and realize that we were trying to build something good that will last longer than our turn at rolling the dice.
Mm-hmm. People remember when you die is how you made them feel. Everything else is a wash, but people remember how you made them feel. And you either made them feel really fucking good, or you made them feel really fucking bad, or you're just like another image of a person in their, in their scheme of life,
in their
right?
story. Yeah.
And so like I had these thoughts, because I question everything. I question myself all the time to make sure it keeps me in check to know where I'm going and what I'm doing. I don't just like question the system, or I don't just question others. I'm my biggest fucking critic, and I'm sure the majority of us can say that. But I literally question myself uncomfortably all the time on like what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm saying, and it's keeping me on this area, and it's keeping me, from choosing wrong paths or bad paths, right? It's not just because I don't do drugs or whatever. It doesn't mean I'm not down in the fucking trenches where, other crackheads are, or heroin addicts. I'm right there with them. We just make different choices,
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I think about, what if I just disappeared, if I just killed myself, or if I just like went to somewhere else and didn't care. That's a hard pill for me to swallow, like I was saying earlier, because of the, having that bit of a responsibility as a man. And when you know certain things, and these things, and then you choose not to
use them,
not to share them, not to use them.
To answer your own question, and I get you, because I've had the same thoughts, like, yeah, if I just decided that's it, I'm done today, I don't want them anymore, which has been a thought for me before. What would really change in people's lives? Not a whole lot. They would mourn you. They would, wish you were still here for a bit. Certain people would feel a certain way, but over time it would just pass, and they would just go on with their life.
And here's the other thing too, not to cut you off, but some people it'll also help in a sense of like motivation, inspiration, fuel.
Yeah.
Not to like empower that, but that's also part of that. Absolutely. If you're bringing that up,
two people that right now are in their journey trying to develop something new for other people, and if we got cut short during that time, that would absolutely help someone else to be like, you know what, I haven't been doing what I would love to do or what I want to do, and he was really going after it. Like those last 3 years that he was around, he submerged himself in going after his dream, and then he got cut short because of a car accident, a heart attack, whatever. Like, fuck, I better get off my ass now. That's a valid point. It would absolutely help other people. To the point I wanted to make when you asked that question as well, is like, what is this all about? Like, why am I really doing this? First off, you have accountability for yourself.
Dude, that is so fucking big. Accountability is so huge.
It's right up there. It's right up there with discipline. So because you have that accountability already embedded in your brain, when you ask that question, I believe, what am I doing all this for? Why should I keep doing this? You're already answering yourself because you have your accountability, and you know that at the very least, there's going to be one person out there that's going to benefit from you keep doing what you're doing instead of cutting it short. And that's what keeps me going. Like, I'm a human being. I've thought of suicide. It's not a surprise. It shouldn't be like an, oh my God, he said that out loud and shared that. No, it's a fact. I've had hard days. I've literally questioned, what the fuck am I doing here? certain points in my life, well, nothing's changed. Is it going to change? I've been here for 45 years. Was the next 45 going to be the same? But then I think of myself, I'm like, no, you know what? You're on a path to help other people. You're growing as an individual. And already in the short period of time that I've done a podcast, I only have right now, I think 19 weeks posted. By the time this airs, I will be somewhere in my 30s episodes. And it's like, I've already had people reach out to me, or people sit in that chair after we film and say, I fucking love what you're doing. I get it. Keep doing it. And that's all I need. I don't need anything more. I would like the financial freedom to remove out of the job I'm doing full time and do this full time. Absolutely. But to have someone say to me, I get it, and I appreciate that you're doing it. That's why I don't stop anything short.
What I realized is we feel things for a reason. And we feel things because there's knowledge there. There's ungathered knowledge. And when things get tough and we feel, you go through a breakup. We use a breakup, for example. That shit sucks. Especially like, it was unseen, or, for whatever reason, they just suck, right? Why do they suck? Well, there's things that you haven't learned yet, and you're only feeling what you're feeling because you haven't learned what needs to be learned. If you've already learned that, you wouldn't be feeling what you're feeling because you wouldn't be in that situation. We can reverse engineer that to go back to like kindergarten, and you're like trying to color in the lines, and every time you keep on coloring out of lines, how mad and frustrated do you get, right? Now, if you go to color something, you're not going to get frustrated like that because you've evolved past those problems.
You've learned how to become successful.
And so now what I've learned is that whenever I'm feeling something like that, that's fucking heavy, I know that I don't like that feeling. And because I don't like that feeling, I prioritize that feeling. I sit with it. And boy, that shit can get ugly. That shit can get, whatever. But I know that the faster that I can understand what I'm feeling and move past it, the faster I'll stop feeling like this. So you're not going to see me like, oh, I'm feeling this, I'm going to go and just drown myself in the bottom of a bottle, or go and, do this or do that. No, like I'm going to sit with that shit, and it's going to suck. But I don't like that fucking feeling, and I'm gonna move past it at whatever it costs. Like you're learning how to edit videos and stuff. That shit's tedious and that shit sucks. But like you said, you're kind of been reclused. You're going in on it because you want to learn it. The faster you can learn it, the faster you'll know how to navigate it.
Yeah, I love what you just said, and I agree with you 1,000%. I love
accountability, bro. Accountability is so fucking huge. I can't even like I've been moving away from people that like lack accountability. If you don't have accountability, visit me when you start to like take accountability.
When you grow up,
grow up, or what, it's not even like, it's just whatever it is. And I know I wasn't always like that, the accountability thing, but I know the significance of it at this point, especially as a man. And if you as a man are not taking accountability, we are on two separate paths, bro. And you're not on this ride.
You ain't got time for it.
You're not on this ride.
You're not invited into this journey no more.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, 100%. Listen, I love your passion.
Huge,
I love your passion when you get on topics and you really have something of value to give to people, which is admirable. I love it. I love the way you expressed it from the best point of being, you just don't know yet. And I was that guy when shit went bad. I ran. I didn't walk. I ran to the bar. I wanted to see the bottom of a bottle. That's how I dealt with shit. And I would just feel like that horrible depression, angst, anxiety for weeks, because that's how I was dealing with it, because I didn't know how to deal with it. Now, what I express to our viewership and our listeners is that when those feelings come to me, and I love this because I've known of you being in the circles that we're in, but I've never met you. I've never had a conversation with you before today. And I love how Joey, shout out Joey Lenz.
Great fucking guy. I love Joey.
Great guy.
He's going to be my roomie on Jeff Heron's Bachelor cruise in a month.
That's awesome. But, he had the knowledge to put the two of us together, and I can see why, because we have a very similar mind. When I now have negative coming in my life and I have to deal with something, I allow it to come in. And this is what I try to express to people on every aspect of my life, is you have to be okay with dealing with why you have that feeling. You have to let it in. You don't dwell on it. You let it come in, appreciate what it is for what it is, process it quickly, and move the fuck on. Like I've said before on this show, that I have sat on the couch before with a feeling of overwhelmingness or a feeling of depression, or something had happened that I was just like, fuck, really, again? Why? But then I've sat by myself. I've allowed that emotion to fester its total being and come out of my body in an essence of basically breaking down and crying for no reason. There wasn't like a song that made me cry or a show. It was a feeling that I had to allow come in, because I knew what it was going to feel like. I don't want to feel like that any more than 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe a day. And then
time.
Whatever time is needed.
Right. Right.
But I'm not going to fester. I'm not going to run to the bar and start drinking 6 pint glasses of Jack Daniels because I have a bad feeling. No, I'm going to let it go through my system, whatever this is. And I'm going to let go of it so I can get the fuck back to doing what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a brilliant way of looking at it. I did not have the knowledge or the education at that time in my life, and therefore I ran to the bottle. Now I allow it to go through the system and process itself so I can become a better human, a better man. I love that. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't mean to cut us off or wrap it up too early, but we've had quite a good conversation on a handful of really good fucking topics. There's no question about it, Kozmo. I want you to come back on the show. I'd like you to become one of those regulars that I have so far. 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes.
I'm only going to come back if they hit that subscribe button, though.
That subscribe button.
If you made it right this far, hit that subscribe button. Take accountability. Learn psychology. Life is all about balance. Life choices.
There it is. I love it. I love it. And all of Kozmo's information is going to be right down below here to check out his podcast as well, and his socials, whatever he wants to give us to let all of you be able to contact him. You're a great human being. Your mind is very advanced, and I hope you do speak out on every topic you want to. I look forward to a lot of good conversations with you, whether it's on a podcast or if we just go out and have a fucking coffee or a smoothie like you brought over today. I'm cool with all that.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. For all of you lifers out there that come here every week, every Tuesday at 2, I want to thank you genuinely for supporting us here at the Life Choices podcast. For all of you newcomers that today might be the first time you're watching, like Kozmo said, scroll on down. All of our info's down there. Subscribe, like, comment, hit the ring, hit the bell, be notified about what's coming up next. Every Tuesday at 2, we're here, guys. I'll look forward to seeing you back here. If you want to be a guest on the show, shoot us an email from the info down below. If you want a certain topic to be talked about, just leave us a comment down below as well. And we'll see you here next week on the Life Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
Later!
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.